suggested that if he was really interested in psychology, then he should head east. Following these instructions, he eventually met Srila Prabhupada, took first and second initiation, and then sannyas from His Holiness Bhakti Sarup Damodar Swami. With Maharaj, he worked in the areas of preaching Bhagavad philosophy through science and the Vedas. Maharaj has been preaching in this area as well as other cultural areas around the world. He has formed NIOS, the North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies, in 2004. Maharaj has been very instrumental in setting up this very Parsati Foundation that you have been able to hear Bhagavad Kathas and from so many Vaishnavas. So we would like to have a very warm welcome to Maharaj, and we would like to hear the auspicious word from his lotus mouth. Welcome to Parsati Foundation, Maharaj, and we are very, very thankful that you have spared time for us. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Welcome.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Can we share our screen?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, I guess I push.
Yeah, of course, Maharaj, you can do it.
There we go. And then we close this. What else are we doing here? Oh, yeah. We'll open our PowerPoint show. So, can you see our PowerPoint to show? Hello?
Yes, Maharaj, we can.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I offer my obeisances to the son of Vasudeva, Lord Sri Krishna, who is the all-pervading absolute truth and who rescues everybody from the external energy of Maya. He is ever situated in his own abode, free from ignorance, enjoying his own transcendental pastimes. And today we're continuing with some discussion of the nectar of instruction. An authorized study of Sri Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami, organized by Srila Prabhupada. And I'm going to turn off my video. Yeah, makes it easier. Okay. Yeah. And so, of course, this is part of Sarati Foundation. And we are Anjana Sudha Academy. And also Neos, Tagore Sundar here, he also co-founder. You know, we started it with him and Tandavika Das. Yeah. And it's going successfully now. His good son Abhishek Singh is taking over, Abhishek Das. And it looks like it's going to go into a second generation and do very, very nice cultural and academic work. So this is actually supposed to be June 20th, a little confused at 75 years old. And a very nice picture of Prabhupada, kind of exemplifying Prabhupada's mood of, you know, going. They asked Prabhupada one time, why is your head always up like that, Prabhupada? And he said, because nobody can defeat this philosophy. Like that. But then the motor behind Srila Prabhupada, of course, is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. And today we can see that a little bit. So the second slide here. Okay. So we're on verse number 1. I couldn't attend the thing last meeting with Srinivas, Srinath Krishnadas, but I listened to the entire lecture and it was very nice. And for me, this is very nice. So every 2 weeks I give a presentation and I can hear somebody who's been studying it, you know, making a presentation like that. Srinath helped us do our commentary book, Tava Pache Pache, our commentary on Nectar of Instruction. So he's still very much involved with that. Okay, so please repeat. Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam.
Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam.
Jiva vegam udaropasta vegam.
Jiva
vegam udaropasta vegam.
Etan vegam yaho vishaheta dirach.
etan veganyo visirtadera.
Sarvam api mam prativim saharshat.
Sarvem apimam prithvim satya.
Somebody chant and we'll respond.
Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam.
Vacho vegam manashakro vegam.
Jiva vegam udaropastha vegam.
Jiva vegam mudaropasta vegam.
Etan veganyo visaheta dhiraha.
Etan vegam yo vishaheta diraha.
Sarvam apimam prithvim sasisya.
Sarvam abhivam prativim sasisha. Prema Priya Padma Devi Dasi, can you chant? We'll respond.
Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva
Vachu
vegam
vegam manasakro vegam.
jiva vegam udaropastha vegam
Jiva vegam mudaropasta vegam.
etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha
Etam vegam yo vishaheta dirah.
sarvamapi mam prithivim shashishyat.
Savamatimam prativim sasishat. And we noticed that Srinath gave very, very nice discussion of the poetical opulence of this Upadeshamrita with such very variegated verses and the Vishnu, like that. And so I think most people know the word Vegam, of course, is very, very important in this verse. What is it? 523. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically it's talking about the same thing, the Vegams and controlling them, and he's happy in this world and the next. And then in the purport, 523, Bhagavad Gita, 2 plus 3 is 5, 523. But in sites, he paraphrases Upadeshamrita like that. Saknati havayasodum prakra sharira vimokshana kamakrodod bhavan vegam sayukta sasuti sukhi naraha. So memorizing these things, they stay in our subconscious, our heart, as little treasures, and then just kind of a little bit of nudging here and there, and sometimes they come out. So we're punya kriti. We're acquiring a whole little piles of pious activities. The cowherd boys were allowed to play with Krishna, just like friends, with their toys and things, because punya kriti. They were acquiring piles of pious activities. So Prabhupada says, all these activities I'm giving you, chanting these verses, discussing them, you're acquiring eternal punya, not temporary punya. Okay, so we're starting off, and you've heard a little bit of perspective on the Upadeshamrita. Now we're in text number 1. Okay, the translation is, a sober person, Dira, who can tolerate, I think it's Vishaheta, the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Like that. And so, of course, there's a song here of Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, and we can chant. Yeah. First I chant, and you chant. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Sagar, Edase Koruna Kori. Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Sagar, Edase Koruna Kori. Diyapada Chaya, Shodoheya Maya, Tamara Chaya. Glory. Diyapada Chaya, Shodoheya Maya, Tamara Charana. Chaya Bega Domi, Chaya Dosha Shodi, Chaya Guna Deho Dase, Chaya Bega Dame, Chaya Dosha Shodi, Chaya Guna Deho Dase, Chaya Sat Sangha, Deho Hey Amare, Mosechi Sangera, Sing. Hey Panga, Deho Hey Amare, Mosechi Sangera, Sing. Ekaki Amara, Nahipaya Bala, Harinomo Sankyatoane. Ekaki Amaya, Nahipaya Bala, Harinoma Sankyatoane. Kumikripa Kori, Shradubindu Diya, Deo Krishna Namadane. Kumikripa Kori, Shradubindu Diya, Deo Krishna Namadane. Krishna say Tomara, Krishna Dite Paro, Tomara Shakatiyate. Krishna say Tomara, Krishna Dite Paro, Tomara Shakatiyate. Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna Bali, Vaitava Pache Pache. Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna Bali, Vaitava Pache Pache. Of course, this is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sharanagari or Gitavali, and two or three more songs about Upadeshamrita, Nectar of a Devotion, in the same, right with it, contiguous. And this is in our songbook that gives such a nice, description of the song. O Vaishnava Thakur, this is the first class Vaishnava, ocean of mercy, be merciful to your servant. Give me the shade of your feet, Shodo Heyamaya, purify me. Kamara Charana Dori, I want to take shelter of your feet. And then it goes through text one after another. Chaya Bhega Domi, help me dominate the 6 Bhegas, the 6 pushes. Chaya Dosha Shodi, purify me of the 6 faults. Then when it comes to text number 7, I think, which is that we should engage in chanting the holy names and take shelter of those, then automatically we take shelter of the form of Krishna. He says Eka Ki Amara, number 3. Ekaki Amara Nahipaya Bala. Harinam Sankirtan. All by myself, I don't have the strength. And maybe you experience this. You just want to go on chanting Hare Krishna in all circumstances, and that will guide you through everything, purify you in the most rapid process. But he says, Ekaki Amara Nahipaya Bala Harinam Sankirtan. But I can't do it by myself. I can't do 7 and 8. Tume Kripa Kori, be merciful to me. Shadu Bindu Diya, give me 1 Bindu, drop of faith. Deho Krishna Namadani, so I can get the great treasure of the holy name. Yeah. So we're always chanting Hare Krishna, following principles, engaging in deity worship, helping spread the Sankirtan movement in so many ways, according to our position, always with Srila Prabhupada present. It may not be that we're actually seeing his form directly or saying his name or so many things, but he's there just watching us. One girl came into the temple in San Francisco, 455 Valencia Street, when I was a young brahmachari, and she gave her some prasadam, and she was saying she'd been with Prabhupada when he was there in San Francisco on the other location. And she said she asked him, Swamiji, what does it mean that a pure devotee always sees Krishna all the time? And they were sitting outside with other devotees, and he probably pointed to his glasses, and he says, whose glasses are these? And she said, oh, they're yours, Prabhupada. So he said, at least that much, that the devotee sees everything as belonging to Krishna, for Krishna. So it may be like an intellectual perspective, but that's the thing, is the change in attitude, the change in heart, the change in bhava, the change in consciousness. And that's what we're trying for. We don't have to learn so much, but we have to change this attitude, where we start to see that Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the proprietor, and Krishna is everybody's friend. And Krishna is present through our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So then if we get that perspective, then by Krishna Prabhupada's mercy, then we'll be able to chant, and be able to have all success. Dayatava Pachi Pachi, we're just running behind you, like little dogs, crying Krishna, Krishna, because you have the power to give us these things. So all glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay. So Srinath Krishnadas was explaining that usually Prabhupada gives his commentary, like contemporary commentary, on the Upadeshamrita. And then I think he says always, I think it is sometimes it is always, but sometimes it's not directly stated. But most of the times Prabhupada says in this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta comments in his Anuvriti, or he says in his Anuvriti, or he says, right in the beginning here, we're in text number 1, and Prabhupada says, in his Anuvriti explanation of Upadeshamrita, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates 3 kinds of urges. Urge to speak, the urges or demands of the mind, and demands of the body. So we see this is very, very common. The sannyasi dedicates his service to Krishna by his body, words, and minds. And then Bhaktisiddhanta will group these six vegams in terms of these identifications. When living entity falls victim to these 3 types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting these demands or urges is called tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome the victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is, of course, a concept that's being presented so many times, again and again. Our point is that actually there are not that many concepts, at least the principal ones that are being presented. You'll find them in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Bhakti, Nectar of Devotion, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya and his different discussions with different people. And this is one of them, that Vachuvega Manas ago, we have to resist. We have to become Dira, was Utsahan, Nishchayan, Daryat. We have to become Dira and tolerate these things and not be influenced by them, But this is only possible under the protection of his divine grace, only possible under the protection of Bhakti Yoga. And once we engage in Bhakti Yoga, then taking care of these things becomes quite natural and quite pleasant. It becomes a part of our enthusiasm. A part of our enthusiasm is to avoid these things, and it makes us enthusiastic that we're avoiding involvement in the material nature, Rajagun and Tamagun. So this is the Anuvriti, and he explained a little bit that Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was writing commentaries. He was including Upadeshamrita in its proper place in the whole complex of our literature, and he had his Piyush Varshnava, and he wasn't able to finish it, so he asked Bhaktisiddhanta. And I think in the very, very end of the Anuvriti, that's where Bhaktisiddhanta tells about this. It should be there in the preface, but in the very end, he tells about how he wrote this on the impetus of his father, that he glorifies. So I have one commentary, which apparently is an English translation of the Narayan Maharaj's translation from the Bengali or something like that. But also recently somebody gave me this. It's a Sri Upadeshamrita, Sri Rupa Goswami. And it's a very thick, well-published, well-organized volume. I think it's available someplace, which includes the previous commentaries by the Radharaman Goswami and different people, like all of them, and kind of well-organized, But the only point is in pointing out the history of the book, and they do not mention Srila Prabhupada at all. I mean, there's going to be some conflict between Prabhupada and some of the Garbhadars and the Gaudiya Math, although many of those are actually starting to becoming adjusted so we can all head the same direction together. But this makes me angry. I was actually a little surprised, like how I'm chastising the printers, because they even said, this English edition is very necessary now that many people in English-speaking countries and foreign countries are starting to take advantage of the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. And they did not mention it at all. It's actually aparad, not to mention that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami is the person who's done all this. And they don't mention that he's done a commentary which is distributed by the tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands, who knows how many copies of Upadeshamrita have gone out and how useful they've been. But anyway, I think so far that, keeping in mind that we're continuously chastising the publishers, yeah, we've been looking at it and taking some advantage of it. Yeah. But the Anuvritti is there, and it's very interesting how closely Prabhupada's paraphrasing it, because maybe some few words and stuff he adds here and there. Yeah. So what we're reading now is basically like a summary study of Bhaktisiddhanta's Anuvritti. Okay. And the first thing he says that one should be a tapashvi and control his urges. Okay. When we refer to the urge to speak, okay, now Bhaktisiddhanta is going through one after another, we refer to useless talking, that of the impersonal Mayavadi philosophers, or the persons engaged in fruitive activities, technically called karma kanda. Okay. Or the materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. So we have the impersonal Jnani philosophers, and they may appear all over the world, without specifically being called Mayavad. But what is it? They're like negativists, that everything is false and this is false, and they spend all their time tearing down other people's belief in anything, their family, the flowers, whatever. And in proposing all kinds of fantastic middle jugglery. Then of course next there's the karmis, and the karmis are in two classes: those who are decent people following some kind of scriptural injunction, Muhammad, Socrates, Chanika Pandit. On the other hand are those who just do any old damn thing, vikarmis. All such talks, Prabhupada continues, or literature, are practically exhibitions of the urge to speak. Many people are talking nonsensically and writing volumes of useless books. All of these, and all this is a result of the urge to speak. So again, unlimited numbers of books about different detective. You just take detective stories, and there's Agatha Christie. She's such a fantastic example. I think she may be the biggest published author in the world, like that. And it's translated in so many languages. And it's exactly this. It's either probably not much engrossed in terms of sense gratificatory activities, but subtle. And people enjoying like different male-female relationships and so on. And with all kinds of mystery and intrigue. And she creates entire universes of the fictitious detectives, Miss Marple. What's the other guy's name? Something Poirot, yeah. And volumes of these things. And you can take through all these literature, and ultimately it's unsatisfying. Because not only do we have to satisfy the ears and the senses of rhythm and the dancing qualities of the body, and then the intellectual nature of the mind has to have its play and games, But ultimately the soul wants to be satisfying to Krishna. We want to satisfy Krishna, and when Krishna is happy, then we feel happy. So that's not there. So all this stuff is there, being arranged by the Vacho Vegam. To counteract this tendency, Prabhupada continues, we have to divert our talking to the subject of Krishna. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.10.11. Okay, let's all chant together. Naya vachaschitra padam haryer yasho jagat pavitam pragranita karhichet tadvayasam tirtam musanti manasa nayantra hangsa nirmanti shikshaya. Those words which do not describe the glories, this is Narada Muni talking to Vyasadeva, of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of a transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Okay. So Narada is telling Vyasadeva that basically everything you've done has been a mistake. You've written the four Vedas, there's the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and what the other one's called, Upanishads. And you've done the Puranas and the Mahabharata. But whenever there's no direct, unalloyed description of the glories of the Lord, people just will not feel satisfied. So that this, of course, is the emphasis for him to give it up. And Prabhupada says he's that kind of foretelling the advent of Lord Buddha, who had to come along and tell people, don't try and understand the Vedas, yeah. And so what he's doing is nullifying so much of the work that Vyasadeva did. Of course, the proper guidance, if people follow these things of Vyasadeva, then they can make their way through, and it may be useful to some extent like that. So he's telling him, if you're writing this literature, there's no glorification of the Supreme Lord, then it's just not satisfying. And the next verse says almost the same thing. Tadvag visargo janat aga viplavo yasmin pratichlokam abadavati api namanyanantasya yashon kitaniyat shinvanti gayanti grananti sadavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full of description of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc., of a Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So here's the key, that we as students, even though we have problems, we're honest, we're admitting, I'm attached to this, I'm attached to that, I don't know this, I don't know that, but I want to know, and I want to get free from my insincerity even. Help me, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda. Yeah. So this is the contrary literature. It's not a pilgrimage place for crows. It attracts honest people, even though they may not be completely able to relish it and everything else, but they keep on taking their medicine. And by that, then a natural taste develops. Prabhupada says at the conclusion, he says, Prabhupada, the conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So we heard the questions yesterday also, but this is the key, that everything can and should be engaged in Krishna's service. Of course, as we go on through Upadeshamrita, this will become more and more clear. Nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction. Maya hitam idam sarvam. Yeah, we all have to go out on Sankirtan. We have to deal with people in our workplace. And it's just natural that we're dealing with people who are not, devotees in so many ways. But as we become purified, we begin to see, okay, this person can understand pantheism. They can appreciate natural influences. We can talk about shark. We can talk about the ocean. We can talk about the fragrance of the earth. We can talk about the taste of water. Yeah. And they're animated and they become more purified and they give up bad habits. And then they're ready for the next step in God realization, which is introspection, meditation. And Krishna is pushing them with different experiences happening. And why are you always so happy? Well, I just every day you have some time for a little bit of prayer and introspection. How do you do it? And you can give them some beads and stuff, or guide them. So after a while, when you're going to work, everybody has to just do the work. But that's like you usually don't even think about it. So you got to fill out this form, do that thing, and this goes on even almost without even thinking about it, like driving your car. But in the middle of that, is always the personal relationships and so on. And even the work, well, why am I here doing the work? To make money. Why? To take care of my family responsibilities, to develop Krishna consciousness. So then you're not working for some neurotic boss with some crazy associates. You're working for Krishna. And if he's put you in this situation with this neurotic boss and these crazy people, okay, that's where I am. I'll try and get a job with more decent people, Krishna conscious people, whatever. But maybe no, that's why I'm here, because these people are neurotic and everything else, but actually they're good candidates for preaching, you know. So whatever, we adopt this attitude of service that Krishna will help us. And even if we go to work, then our purpose is Sankirtan while we're there, and or else collecting the resources and so on. And then of course we become very, very good workers. Everybody wants us to advance because we're working for the money with a very nice motivation. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. Okay? Vachuvegam manasakrodam. As for the agitations of the flickering mind, they are divided in two divisions. And this is so informative. When I first read the book and got this, it helped so much. The first is called aviroda priti, or unrestricted attachment. And the other is called viroda yukta kroda, anger arising from frustration. Okay. Aviroda priti, unrestricted attachment. Our mind sees something, some entertaining thing, something happening, some game, some magazine, you know, some food, and it wants to become attached to that. It wants to think about it. It wants to plan about it. You know? So the first impetus of the mind is aviroda priti. Yukta, yeah, when there is a viroda yukta, when that unrestricted attachment is blocked, then kroda, anger arises. I can't read that magazine now. I can't play that game. I can't, enjoy that cake. Okay. The first is called aviroda priti, or unrestricted attachment. Yeah. And the other is called viroda yukta kroda. So now you know, technically speaking, what's happening. And I saw this as soon as I learned this intellectually. I saw it happening, and I was able to avoid anger just by giving up my attachment to some plan that I had as a devotee, as a brahmachari. Adherence to the philosophy of the Maya bodies, belief in the fruitive results of the karma bodies, and belief in the plans based upon materialistic desires is called aviroda priti. Jnanis, karmis, materialistic plan makers generally attract the attention of conditioned souls, but when the materialists cannot fulfill their plans and when their devices are frustrated, they become angry. Frustration of material desires produces anger. Okay. And so now Prabhupada is going to explain that these things go in a. Okay. Similarly, the demands of the body can be divided into three categories. So we've had the pushers of speech, vacho vegam, and then manasta kroda, and they're combined together. They connect so much like that. The most dangerous function of the mind is kroda. And like Prabhu was explaining, if you can use this for Krishna, but it's very dangerous unless you're a trained police officer or something like that. Or then better just to let Krishna and Balaram take care of these problems. Let them become angry. We can just call Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Similarly, the demands of the body can be divided into three categories: the demands of the tongue, the demands of the belly, and demands of the genitals. One may observe that these three senses are physically situated in a straight line as far as the body is concerned, and that the bodily demands, as far as the body is concerned, and that the bodily demands begin with the tongue. If one can restrain the demands of the tongue by limiting its activities to eating a prasad, the urges of the belly and genitals can automatically be controlled. So this is the first thing. You're on some fasting for your health, for your figure, and then you're walking by someplace and they're bakery, and they're blowing out the smells of the different baked goods, or you're going by seeds, candies, something, and then the smell is there. Okay, so you say, well, I'll go in and I'll look, but I won't take anything. So your tongue is watering. The juices are there because all these different flavors and spices and so on. Well, I'll taste something, but I won't take much. So then there's stimulation of the tongue, and then this begins to become gratified and so on. We stop squeezing it to squeeze the soul out of it. And then it goes down until we start to stimulate the belly. And once the belly starts to be stimulated, it wants to be full also. So the tongue and the belly. And then finally, after that, of course, we repeatedly, then there's agitation for association with the opposite sex and satisfying the Muladhara chakra. So he's saying if we only taste prasad, our first thing is to taste the prasad, and then automatically, we'll be then controlling, how much we eat. And of course, this is very practical. Let us taste and see how the offering was made to Krishna. Okay. And let's then honor it as Krishna's arrangement for our service. We need the senses have to be gratified. Prabhupada says we have to gratify the senses in terms of their service, and that's not wrong. It's wrong not to do it. Okay, so it all goes one after another. Once we lose control of the tongue, and the belly, and the genitals, and we go to hell. There we go. Yeah, and Maya is very happy to take us down one step a day, to hell. And, you just don't notice that you slipped a little bit. I've slipped a little bit. I've slipped a little bit more. I've slipped a little bit more. Yeah. So always keep it surrounded by a good standard, always making a standard whether you like it or not, to hear Prabhupada's kirtan every day. And these regulative principles and the association of pure devotees will then keep us on a high standard. Otherwise, tongue, belly, genitals, hell. Here's a very, very nice image of hell. Down the bottom, there's a little guy there. I guess some people down there, maybe fighting. Okay. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sharira avidyaja jadindriya tahe kal Shrive vishaya sagare Karmaje jivayati lobam voisa durmati Tokar jarta song sharar Krishna beholda dhoya moy Karibari jiva joy Swaprasad nadilobai Stanamrita Pow, Radha Krishna Gunagao, Ramidako Chitanga Natai. Very nice picture of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You notice he has a Walkman, a smartphone. He's got a watch fob and a little pocket. He used to put little pockets in old jackets just for your pocket watch. So it's very, very high tech. To have a pocket watch, and a little watch fob. So he was living according to his time. You can see that his mustache is very decorated, but he's got a Bhagavatam in one hand, and a bead bag in the other hand, like that. So it's a very, very nice song. We think this is a song that will probably save us at the time of death. The time of death will be totally confused. We won't know what to do, what to think about, where to go. In the distance, we'll hear, Sari Ravin Jaja. And our intelligence and everything else will say, they're having prasad. Let's go. And even though we have to, follow the sound through hell, we'll follow it. So Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mantra, but this is very, very important. It's like Pavlov's dog for being conditioned. And it's such a nice thing to chant this and remember that. This material body is a lump of ignorance. The senses are a network of paths leading to death. We've fallen somehow or other into this material enjoyment, this ocean. Of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. But you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us. You send us nice prasad to help us conquer the tongue. So let us take this prasad and thank Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, and Radha Krishna. There are 6 kinds of tastes, and if one is agitated by any one of them, he becomes controlled by the urges of the tongue. Some persons are attracted to the eating of meat, fish, crabs, eggs, and other things. Others are attracted by eating vegetables, creepers, spinach, or milk products, but all for the satisfaction of the tongue's demands. So when we're making a very, very nice offering, we should always be thinking how our deities will be enjoying this. And if they eat everything and leave nothing for us, that's very nice. And we can begin to experience that. As long as Krishna is taking our service, then we don't need to serve the tongue. But we start to think about how the spicing and everything else and the combination of flavors, and the Krishna reciprocates and responds by, yes, I would like that, I wouldn't like that. Such eating is for sense gratification, whether we're eating fish and eggs or spinach. It's to be given up by Krishna conscious persons. If we can practice accepting only remnants of food offered to Krishna, It is possible to be free from Maya's victimization. However, if one accepts prasad only because of its palatable taste, and thus eats too much, he also falls prey to trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. So when we're taking prasad and tasting, we should always be seeing how it's affecting our body, how it's affecting our future ability to engage in service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid, I'm going to move my thing here. Oh, okay. To avoid very palatable dishes, even while eating prasad. If we offer palatable dishes to the deity with the intention of eating such nice food, we are involved in trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. If we accept the invitation of a rich man with the idea of receiving palatable food, we are also trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ancha 6:227. I think this is instructions to Rupa Goswami, to Raghunath Das Goswami. I'll close my eyes now. Jivara lalashye yeti uti daya shishnodara parayana Krishna nahipaya. Now I got them open. Jivara lalase, not shit. Jivara lalase yeti uti daya shishnodara parayana Krishna nahipaya. That person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate, and who is always attached to the desires of his stomach and genitals, is unable to unable to attain Krishna. Jivara, the tongue, lalashye, iti uti daya, here and there, shishnodara, udara, the belly, parayana, Krishna nahipaya. Yeah. So take prasadam at regular times. And regular times can even be 6 times a day. In his original Bhakti program, Prabhupada had prasadam 6 times a day. Okay. When we desire to eat more than necessary, we automatically create many inconveniences in life. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadasi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the belly. As far as the urges of the genitals are concerned, there are 2, proper and improper, or legal and illicit. When a man is properly matured, he can marry according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras and use his genitals for begetting nice children. When one indulges in illicit sex, as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually having a sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in the clutches of Maya. And there's a very, very nice song quoted from Jagannatha Pandit. Yeah. Let's all sing together. Vairagi Bai Gramya Kata Nashunibe Kane Gramya Varta Nakahibe Yabi Milibe Yane Zwapane Onakar Bai Sri Sambasan Grihesti Chediabai Asiache Van Yadicha Pranai Rakite Gorangera Sane Chotahari Dasa Kata Take Yenamane Balana Karibe, Ara Balana Paribe, Hridayete Radha Krishna Sarvada Sevibe. You lost the last part there. My dear brother, you are in the renounced order of life, and you should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women, even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve the Lordship Sri Sri Radha Krishna in your heart of hearts. So this is the ideal. What is the purpose of taking sannyas? It's a facility. It's a help. Husband and wife may take care of their children very nicely, you know, and then the children grow up and then they change their relationship and stuff. So then they may actually formally or informally move to a vanaprast relationship, but still there's subtle attachment. The wife feels protected. She laughs at her husband's jokes, you know, And so they give emotional protection, physical protection, so many things. The economic success together. So sannyasa is as an arrangement, a psychosocial arrangement. And if we can do that in this lifetime, it's very good. Well, who will protect my wife? You haven't understood the basic thing that all along it's been Krishna. And the wife has still thinking of the husband dies, and then her shelter is gone. So Devahuti and Karma shows a very, very nice process for complete success. And of course, here then is the standard of sannyas, what we should be doing. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is to be called Swami or Goswami. So that's pretty much the summary. He goes on to talk a little bit more about Matirna Krishna Parato Bhatova. But basically, Bhakti Siddhanta's commentary, and it's very, very nice. It's from a more pure time, more pure atmosphere. So, any questions or comments now about these things?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have one question.
Okay.
Maharaj, I might have read the Nectar of Instruction a few times, but the explanation that you are giving is very amazing and enlightening. And so one question was like, how do you study Prabhupada's books? I know you study quite a lot, and I know I had actually seen you carrying the Nectar of Instruction, the book with you for quite some time, even when I saw you. Yes, around your neck. Yes. So and I have a copy of your book also, Tava Pache Pache. I plan to start studying that too, but just a general idea, Maharaj, because it's very impressive. I keep on reading it, but I still tend to forget, and there is always something new that I know it is supposed to happen that way, but just a general guideline. How do you study Prabhupada's books?
I study Prabhupada's books the way I study Prabhupada's books. That's how I do it, And so you're going to study, Gopinath, so you're going to study Prabhupada's books the way you should study Prabhupada's books. It's just, Prabhupada says every salesman has his own technique. Mars, Jupiter, Venus, they're all getting their life from the same planet, same sun, right? Every single one of them is getting all their life from the same sun. But they're at different distances, they have different speed of rotation, they have different composition. And so every single one of us has to develop our own religion, and eternally. And we can take advantage of other people's comments. And of course, there are general principles. All the planets rotate, all the planets have day and night. Okay, yeah. So, looking at it, one time Prabhupada says, my books are like a tree made out of sugar. Wherever you taste it is sweet. So basically, Prabhupada's books will just open up whatever inspires you. Like many times I'm kind of lost in the middle of my plan and my Sankirtan and everything else. And I'm floating and stuff. I'm going to drown here. And then, okay, I can't chat now. So I just open up the Krishna book, Vedabase.com, and I have a bookmark and I take up and it goes on. It's always with more depth, where I'm at in terms of my regular schedule and everything else. I can always, open the Krishna book, and that's Prabhupada says is one book is complete. So many books. Nobody can take everything the spiritual master is offering. Even if you study these books for 100 years, you will never study them completely. So finding our organization, what books are good for us. Some people I know are Bhagavad Gita experts and just they love Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the purports. And somebody else is, Granga Darshan. They've already gone into the works of the Goswamis, and they're finding resources there. Some people have very, very big intellectual abilities. Somebody has very small intellectual ability. Doesn't really matter. You know, Prabhupada says Hanuman is not even a human being. He's an animal. Okay, so yeah, yeah. One thing though, actually was in Seattle at one of our meetings, and because next instruction, it's first instructions. So Prabhupada says, in this movement, we require everybody to rise early in the morning by 4 a.m., attend Mangala Arti or morning service, perform kirtan, and read Srimad Bhagavatam. So there it is. That's how we should study Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's books, if we're taking a shelter of Prabhupada as our guru. Every day in the morning, you get up early, Brahma Muhurta, and it changes. You have little artik for your deities. It can be incense and flower or whatever. It can be a very big thing. And you do the Guru Vastika. You meditate on that. Learn the word by word meaning. And then your japa, and then at some point then reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And these are, Prabhupada says, requirements. You can't actually say you're chanting 16 enthusiastic rounds if you're not following these requirements. And you lose your taste. You won't make progress. So there it is, full morning program, and that naturally includes it. And then as you like, maybe you want to, the story of Dhruva Maharaj strikes you, and then with your community, Sangha. Yeah, let's look at Dhruva Maharaj's stories for a while, And so it goes on and ever. How to read Prabhupada's books is unlimited. But I would say that's very, very, very essential is that full morning program, and association, and then having your regular daily Bhagavatam class. Does that help at all?
Yes, Maharaj, it helps. It helps.
Okay.
I would just like to add one point that you had mentioned many years ago when you were visiting Washington DC. That I actually carried with me until now, and I've been practically following it. Is use. I think you were mentioning at one point in your seminar that you get tempted to study all the Prabhupada's books.
Yeah.
But then you had mentioned that I study the book that helps me in my service at that moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I tend to do that. But yeah, it's very inspiring to hear from you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
It's very inspiring to hear from you also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaji, for a very, very wonderful session. Maharaji, can we take some questions?
Yes, I can take some questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaji. So I request to everyone, if you have any question, any realization, so please raise your hand and feel free to ask to Maharaji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Maharaji, there is some questions from Mihika's side. Mihika, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaji. Thank you very much for the awesome class. I learned a lot about the first verse of Nectar of Instruction. Maharaj, I have two questions. My first one is that how do we prevent the influence of other people and especially cell phones that as they easily attract us towards them?
Well, again, it's always param dristvam nivartate, taking advantage of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, his ISKCON, many ISKCONs, but his ISKCON, and good association. So if we have good association, then there's no room for bad association. There can be some muddy water in the cup, but if you didn't start shooting fresh water in after a couple minutes, seconds, there'll be nothing but fresh water in it. So always increasing your good association, and so using your cell phone, to from the modern world. One big scholar we deal with in South America, maybe 80, 90 years old, Hector Behar, is in our movies there. Very nice person, so intelligent, so nice. He's very conscious with his community, what's happening in the world, good people. But he says these are not like social media. He said these are anti-social media. You go to the airport, it's ridiculous. If a family of five people are sitting across from you in the waiting lounge, you look at every single one of them is on their anti-social media. And every now and again, they'll look up and talk to each other and have some social relationship and so on. But that's the world, okay? and it's attractive and seductive for certain reasons. But the thing is there to use it for proper purpose, to have, classes, and in the airport, I'm there with classes and stuff, or different things like that, and to communicate to other people about different resources you're finding on the web. Then eventually, of course, we start developing our psychosocial structures so we can associate more in a natural fashion. Here in Nashville, we're especially trying to work to develop, buy some property now. It's about time. And then we'll have a teacher training college here for North America. Other people can buy into the property. Maybe you get 30, 40 acres. Then after that, other people around it. Then after that, you start having a village. And this is just the natural Varna ashram situation. In any situation, just chant Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and go on chanting until you understand how to deal with it. But basically, that's it. You use all the resources to get association. One nice example is that Abhimanyu, he was caught in the Vyuha, Shuka Vyuha, or whatever the thing was, and he couldn't get out, and he's fighting with everybody left and right, but he's surrounded, he's locked in, and he's got bad association. You have to go to school with bad association, you have to go to work with bad association. So his conclusion is very simple. Okay, if I kill everybody, then there'd be nothing left to get out of. Okay, so he starts killing everybody. Like that. It's a very kind of a Kshatriya solution. But from our point of view, okay, if I convert all these kids into Krishna consciousness, then there'll be no bad association. So you just have at it. And every single person you're looking, good morning program again on our level, Madhyama Adhikari. Get up early, get your rounds done, nice, interesting Bhagavatam. And then when you go out in the world, you can have the strength to make it through. You get shot full of arrows, but in the evening you come back and take a bath and you go to Gaur Artik and you hear Hiba Jayo, Jayo Gora Chander. And everything just is adjusted. Your feelings of guilt for not having been enough of a devotee and everything. Yeah, okay. So full morning and evening program, and then you can go out with this attitude of being merciful, always trying to help people like that. And then everything else starts to become useful, by increasing the association, by converting people, and by finding more people to associate with. Haribol.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I have one more question. Like we get proud really easily, like at least once. Especially for me, like it's cool, so we do something good, so then we get proud at ourselves. So then, isn't that like basically not being humble? How should we prevent that and become humble?
Oh. Jayananda, the incarnation of humility, he said humility means that doesn't just mean acting artificially big or thinking yourself artificially big, but it also not thinking yourself artificially small. So praise, if it's coming, then we try to understand, is it true? Okay, that's who I am, and it's Krishna's mercy and these abilities are being given to me, and what am I actually contributing? You actually become self-realized, and you automatically you're humble. So it's really that point of just trying to understand, who you are and what you're contributing and stuff. And is it for Krishna? Boy, Krishna is so greedy, you'll never have enough done enough to be too proud, Yeah. So understanding who you are in any situation with your intelligence, and then you can you'll be humble. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Can convert all your kids, all your friends to devotees. Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaji. Amit Prabhu, you have a question. Please unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna. Maharaj, the lecture was very wonderful and it was very descriptive and in a sequential way. So in the different slides, I read something about Tapasvi, then Swami, then Goswami. So are these synonyms or is there any difference between these three? Tapasvi, Swami, and Goswami.
Well, Goswami means, of course, master of the senses, and Tapasvi means, somebody who's taking up tapasya. This is interesting because he said putting people in prison. Yes, last class he was talking about that, and to reform them. They're called penitentiaries, right? Penitentiary, that comes from the word penance. And the original idea of that, rather than chopping people's hands off or branding them with marks on their foreheads, was that people should be in there and they should be locked up with nothing but the Bible. That was the idea. And they'd be so bored, they start reading the Bible. So yeah, they were originally the houses of penance. Penance and austerity, same thing. Huh? So, that's what penance and austerity, we do that. And if you do it properly and successful, then you become a Goswami, and eventually your austerities of the mind. So tapasya is a process by which one becomes a Goswami, and it's a symptom of a Goswami.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaji. If anybody have any question, please raise your hands. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Wow, strange.
Okay, so Maharaji, there is no more hand raise. Hare Krishna, Harila Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for enlightening us again on this Anubhakti of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Very nicely presented, Maharaj. As usual, your lover of PowerPoint presentation. You can see that everything can put in such a way that it is very easy. When we read it, you won't be able to understand, but when you present it, it makes so clear, Maharaj. Very nice. Very nice.
After 40 years of work, I'm finally making progress.
We expect that, Maharaj, you come more often, but I guess your schedule is all so busy.
Well, you can join us every day. We're online from Mangalartik. We have about 35 people, but you have your own program, don't you? Yeah, you have your own program online.
We have a 3 to 5 chanting program.
Very nice.
And 5 o'clock Hari Katha, Power Booster Hari Katha.
Wow.
Yeah, but that is all in Hindi. So anybody would like to join, they are welcome to, if anybody understand Hindi.
Hindi seekh raha hoon.
Yeah. We have also, Maharaj, you know Swami Bhagavan Kesav Swami? Maharaj, he's in London.
Who?
Swami Bhagavan Kesav Swami.
I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is coming on July 8th.
To London?
Yeah. No, on our Partharthi Foundation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just for one day.
Okay.
As a speaker.
Yeah, I think I know. He's kind of a big guy, not too very kind of young, isn't he?
Not so young and not so old either. And I think he's disciple of Kadamba Kanan Maharaj.
Okay, I think I know who he is. I met him first in India. Then he was there also in Spain with the youth group.
We heard him last year during Govardhan Puja at that
That's what it is. I know him. Yeah, he was in Spain also. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you were there also, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much, Maharaj, again for presenting such a nice Nectarian class. And we hope that you always have mercy upon us. And at least whatever you have agreed fortnightly, we'll be waiting for you again.
No, it's very nice to get the contrast with Srinath. I like to listen to him, and it's very nice for me having him giving the alternate classes, and I listen. Hopefully, I'll be able to come next time just to attend like that. Also, we want to thank all of our friends and associates from Latin America who are here, and also the Shri Radhanath Sangha from Boise, Idaho, not Boise, Idaho, from Nashville.
I didn't see anybody from Mexico or Peru, Maharaj, today.
That's because you don't speak Spanish. Carlos Roll is there bundled up. Right? So obviously, he's from South America. He's bundled up. What else we got? Mitravinda Devidasi. She's from Lima. One of her aunts is one of the most famous clowns in Peru. Ishwari Radha, also from Peru. She's taking care of all the BBT publications. Abhishek Singh. Who else we got? Tanu from what do you call it? Amina. All the people from Nashville. So thank you all very, very much. Hare Krishna. I don't want to.
You got a good fortune to see Chaitanya Charaman and Subra Mataji
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oof. Vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare
His
Krishna.
Holiness
you.
Hanumatpresak
Thank
Swami
you. Hare
Maharaj
Krishna.
ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Sindhu Vaishnav Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Hari Hari Bol.
Very
Hare
nice
Krishna
class,
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.